Katie from Kate-EmVintage, and this is my podcast, YouTube channel, all about my knitting and other making as it comes along. I like a bit of sewing and embroidery and that kind of thing. I made my very first podcast last episode, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who watched, left me a thumbs up, subscribed. Thank you so much for subscribing, and for everyone who just gave me some encouragement, because as I said before, it was something that I'd been wanting to do for a while and just kept talking myself out of. So I've been really grateful for everyone who's kind of given me a virtual pat on the back and a thumbs up to do a bit more. So there will, just as an aside, that I do plan to get into some kind of schedule with my podcasts and do them maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on life and how things are going. And I fully intended to do one before now, but life and holiday happened before podcast could happen. So today I've got something slightly different. It isn't podcast episode 2. It is a kind of knitting holiday vlog diary thing. And obviously I've never done anything like that before. So I've given it a go. I had a lot of fun on my holiday, like thinking, oh, that would be a nice little bit to film, or, you know, oh, that's interesting to look at. Or so I've tried to give you some clips of just little sort of snapshots, postcards, if you like, of where we've been. And I've also tried to keep you updated on what my holiday knitting was. However, what I realised was I totally meant to film an introduction either before I left or like at the airport or on the plane, but I didn't do any of those things. So this is the little introduction to go with it. But I've been back home for about 4 days before I've actually got around to doing this. So this year we decided to go on holiday to Germany. For several reasons. Love Germany, I've been a few times before. Wanted to go and see some quite specific places, and also have a friend in Germany, that more of that comes up later, who we wanted to try and see. So we were planning a Berlin visit, because it's very easy for us to get to Manchester Airport and fly direct to Berlin. I mean, there are other places too, but I wanted to go to Berlin, so that seemed very sensible. And then also Bavaria, because my friend lives in Bavaria, and there were some other areas of Bavaria that we wanted to go to as well. So before we left, the plan was we had 2 nights booked in a hotel in Berlin, in Charlottensburg area. Never been to Berlin before, so I was very excited about that. But that was the week, sort of the end of the week, that would have been the Euros final in Berlin. And I'm not a huge football fan, and I didn't want my time in Berlin to be affected by just sort of the infrastructure and like fan zones and things that would need to be there for the football. So we just spent 2 nights in Berlin. Then the plan was to go to Munich. So we had 4 nights booked in Munich. All of this travel was to be done on trains or buses, or, you know, we didn't hire a car, just had the flights booked. Then after Munich, we had a couple of days where nothing was booked to go somewhere, before going to visit my friend, where she lives in Bavaria in a place called Erlangen. And then after, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 nights with her, we had nothing booked for another 4 nights, and then our flight home. We thought we'd probably go back to Berlin. We weren't sure whether we'd go back to Berlin just a day before our flight, or whether we'd go for the whole period. And maybe do some travelling around or a bit more of an in-depth look at Berlin. So that was where we were at once we went on the holiday. So that's probably all the introduction that we need. I had 2 projects that I took with me. I wanted to start sock knitting. So that was a project to take, and you'll see more about that. And I was also midway on a Tolsta vest by the Creabea, so I took that with me as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoy my travels in Germany and my knitting updates, and I'll let you know what happened later on. Okay, bye. I am just popping on quickly to show you my sock progress. So I started knitting this on the plane on the way to Germany, and I found it really great actually for keeping me calm, because I am an incredibly nervous flyer, and I've never tried to get my knitting through security before, but I'd read quite a lot online about where, like, tips and things like that, and so I changed all my needles either to shorter wooden like tips for interchangeables, or I swapped to teeny tiny circulars, and I made sure that all needles had knitting on them so that it was obvious that I knit. And I also made sure that they all had point protectors on them, and so that was okay, and nobody said anything whilst I was knitting on the plane. So I managed to knit the cuff of my sock on the plane, and then this afternoon into early evening we've been sat in the Tiergarten at a really lovely cafe by the edge of the lake, and it's been really lovely, like lots of good atmosphere, lots of good beer apparently, and I really needed like a bit of a rest because this morning was quite busy. So I have knitted this much of my sock whilst just sitting having a little drink and a look around and a bite to eat, so that's been perfect. I'm impressed at how quickly it's going. I guess that is the benefit of really teeny tiny rows. Rounds, I should say. I don't know if I've mentioned it previously, but this is the first sock I've ever knit, and this is a beautiful Grenadine sock set from Beehive Yarns, and it just the colours just amaze me, and I thought, yeah, I need them on my feet, and that is going to be my first sock ever, because it's so cheerful. I thought that'll make me knit it for sure. I've been wanting to knit socks for absolutely ages, but I keep putting myself off. And then when I found a few more people that had knitted them on tiny circulars, because I hate DPNs, that was never going to happen. DPNs are an absolute no, and I can't get to grips with Magic Loop either, so I decided that actually this is the way forward. So, and I'm using the Munich Mum simple sock. Can't remember if that's the entirely correct name for the pattern, but it's free, and when I look at it again I'll make sure I say which one it is. So anyway, that's a little few minutes from me and my sock progress. Regensburg, I think that's how you pronounce it. Came here yesterday. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's so stunning. It's such a beautiful city. There'll be some footage of like the beautiful buildings and things, and I'm just sat on a boat. It's called the Crystal Princess, and it's full of Swarovski, that's how you say it, crystals, and we're about to go on a 45-minute boat ride up to a place called Valhalla, and have a look around there. So I'll get a little bit of video from there too. Excuse my hair, the humidity is like 87% or something, and it just won't. I tried really hard this morning and look at it already, so excuse. I thought this would be a good point to do just a little knitting update. So the first thing is the sock. I suppose we should go that way up. So this is a Beehive Yarns sock set in Grenadine. So I've done my cuff, I've knitted the first bit of the sock, and now I'm about to do the heel. But I need to find, I didn't read the, obviously I didn't read the pattern before I packed my knitting, so I only bought one size of needle. Dankeschön. So I haven't got the right size needle for the heel, but there is a wool shop in Regensburg, so I'm going to try and find that later and get the right one, try and turn the heel. If not, I've got a plan, because I've got one very tiny needle holder with me, so I could put these on hold, cast on the second sock, and at least get to this point again, because I'm quite missing my sock knitting, because it was quite, you know, it's nice, it's looking good, I'm quite excited by it. So that's that. And then I've also got with me my Tolsta Tank by the Creabea, and this, it looks like a bag of rags because it's been squidged into a luggage, but it's going to be good when I've finished. So I've just got to the bit where you split for the front and the back, and you knit them. It's been in the round so far, and it's going to be knit up the front, up the back, join it together. So I'm knitting the vest version, which is the sort of sleeveless one, but full coverage over here, round neck, full coverage over there, obviously. And this is a cotton silk mix. It's old, is it Serdon? Might be, let me see. No, Sublime. It's from my stash. It's been in there for at least 7 years, maybe. And it was going to be a 1950s style, kind of quite open work bolero, but I realised that if I hadn't finished that in the 7 years it's been sat in my stash, I probably should unwind it, frog it, and turn it into something else. So that's what I did. I frogged 3 balls worth, I think, and I've got it this, and I already know that this is going to get lots of wear. So that's the update on the knitting so far. So we need to find a yarn shop. I mean, obviously we need to find a yarn shop anyway. We need to find a yarn shop for me to get the right needle, and then I'm just going to sit and enjoy the river cruise. We're on the Danube, I should have said that. The blue Danube. It's not so blue today, but it's looking good, and it's a 45-minute trip up to the place that we're going, so I should get a load of knitting done. Just been bought a cup of tea, so I'm ready to go. See you later. Hello, I thought I'd just do a little bit of a catch up and explain where we are at the moment and what's happening. So we were in Regensburg for a couple of nights. It's an amazingly beautiful city. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's full of really beautiful buildings, and they're all painted sort of gorgeous pastel-y greens, lemons, pinks. Oh, it's just stunning, and it's on the Danube. So like last time we were on a boat trip on the Danube. There's a few different ones you can do. It's really amazing. I did manage to find a yarn shop. I've got some separate footage of that, but unfortunately they didn't have the needles that I need for my socks. So as you know, it's my first sock knitting journey, and I just couldn't be doing with 4 needles. I don't like DPMs, they just do my head in. And I also don't like magic loop, so I'm specifically wanting the Addy really short circulars. That's what I'm using at the moment. And obviously I have the right size needle, but it's at home because I printed the pattern and sorted out my yarn as preparation for coming on the trip. But when it actually came to do my packing, did I read the pattern through? No. Did I even read the list of instructions on the pattern? No. So I just had done my tension square and everything first, and I'd worked it all out, and I'd done like a little calculation to work out how many stitches I needed to cast on for my size feet. But did I bother working out whether I needed more than 1 needle? I didn't. So that's the state of play with socks. Still haven't found any needles. Apparently there is like a wholesalers in Regensburg that will do the Addy, but it was like in an industrial part somewhere, and I'm not able to get to that, so just had to park that. So now I am in Erlangen, and which is another city in Bavaria. It's very near to Nuremberg. And the reason that we've come here is because my friend, who I met many years ago because she was my German exchange partner when I was 13 years old, my friend lives here with her family, and we've come to visit, which is fabulous. So we haven't seen each other for quite a number of years, but we keep in contact with letters, etc. And we thought it was time to meet up, really. So when we decided we were coming to Germany on our holiday this year, we knew that we would be factoring in a few days with my friend. So yeah, I have to give her full credit here. My German is really, I only learned German for 1 year at school, and I've done like 1 term of an evening class, and I've failed spectacularly to keep it up. I am inspired now to go home, keep up my German, but my German is very basic, so I can ask for things and I can sort of get around, but I can't have a conversation. I can't necessarily, like, if I ask for directions, if they're not right, left, round the corner, I can't follow. So I have to give my friend full credit, because it's only due to her spectacularly good English that we have been able to keep in touch for all this time, because I write to her in English, she writes to me in English. We could go into a whole discussion about how rubbish we are at teaching languages in the UK. That's probably not for now, but yeah, her English is way better than mine, and it was probably at 13. Because I know she asked me to help her with her homework when I was on that exchange, her English homework, and I couldn't do it because it was all stuff about grammar that we had never learned, and that was kind of embarrassing for my 13-year-old self. Anyway, so we're staying at my friend's for a few days, just hanging around, doing family stuff, which is going to be really lovely, and I might get a bit of knitting in. I might see if there's a yarn shop local to where she lives. We're just having a real chill, relaxed day today because I am tired. But I thought I'd just come on and update. So socks, no progress. Tolsta tea, couldn't think of the word there. Tolsta tea. When I showed it you last, I was on the boat ride and I finished separating the fronts and backs at the underarm, and I've done the underarm cast off for the back. So I'm going to have a little bit of time this afternoon. It's absolutely scorching this afternoon, so I'm going to have a little bit of chill time in the garden and see if I can do a bit more on the back of that. And that probably will be what I'm working on until I've seen whether it's possible to get the right needle. And like I said before, if I can't, I'm just going to put the sock on hold, cast on the second one, and then at least I won't get second socks syndrome, which I've heard about a lot. So because I'll be at the same point on both socks by that point, if that's what I decide to do. Anyway, so that was just a little catch up from a friend's garden in Erlangen, and I'll pop back soon. Bye. Hello, I thought I'd just pop in and give a bit of an update about our Germany trip and the things that have been happening. So I think when I last did a talk to the camera, I was in Erlangen at my friend's house, and we stayed with my friend for 4 days, which after an absence of 12 years, and I just don't even know how it's been 12 years, but that's how long it's been since we last saw each other. So these 4 days that we had have just been the absolute best, and it's been so much fun. So good to meet up, so good to meet all her children properly, and yeah, just catch up with things. It's been absolutely brilliant. She took us into Bamburg, which is a historic town about half an hour away on the train from Erlangen. So I've got some footage of our visit there. That's stunningly beautiful. Yeah, really, really impressive. It was a super hot day. Most days have been sort of 30 degrees, and I am not able to cope with that kind of weather. So in everything, I'm looking like melted and frizzy. But yeah, it was amazing. It's been good weather for sitting in the beer gardens and having a look at everything. And then we went out she took us out into more rural countryside, which is places that we probably wouldn't have made on our own. We're travelling by public transport, haven't hired a car. So this has all been done on trains, buses, trams, obviously flown to Germany and flown back, but everything in Germany has been public transport or my friend's car. So we had a lovely walk, visited a brewery. I don't drink, by the way, but it's still been really interesting to see all of these places. Excuse me, got a cough today. And then on the last day, before our train, we had a train in the afternoon, so she took us around Erlangen itself, which was really pretty. Looked at some of the local churches and the university. Apparently it's a big university town, so saw some of the buildings that the university uses, and we also managed to visit 2 yarn shops, which was great. One of them was, fine. Like, it was a nice yarn shop, it was fine, but it didn't have anything in that I couldn't source for myself at home. And what I was really after was finding, if I could, some yarn or even some accessories or a bag or anything really that was German in origin, so that I could have it as a souvenir of the trip. So the other yarn shop was like a treasure trove. It was so well laid out. It was very pretty. It was mostly commercial yarn, a good range though. They had they even had Rowan, and which I know is a massive brand, but Rowan is from not all that far away from where I'm from, so that just made me laugh. They had a lot of Italian yarns, which I expected. They had juniper moon yarn, which was nice to see, some Malabrigo, lots of lovely, great stuff. But they also had one wall of wool that was hand dyed, and so obviously I was quite attracted to that, so I went to have a look. So this is the yarn store that we went to, so Casa, Lana, lovely. If you're in Erlangen, that's a good place to go. And I was looking at all the beautiful hand dyed stuff because I thought that would be really nice. Memento, sorry, brain words not always brilliant. And I checked with the owner in kind of my ish rubbishy German, her good English, and my friend's perfect German because she is German obviously, whether this was German. And it's we can't know the origin of the yarn, but this is hand dyed, and the person who dyes it now lives in Poland but was born in Erlangen. So I thought that was perfect. So I chose this amazing skein. It's very pink and very orange, and I just loved it. It's so cheerful, I think, and I just was drawn to this. There was another, actually I kind of wish I bought it. Feel like maybe I should have treated myself twice, because there was a beautiful emerald green tweed as well, and I'm feeling like that was an error. I might have to send my friend back there on my behalf. So I got this one, and what clinched it was talking to my friend, and she translated the name for me, and it's Beautiful Dream. And I thought, yes, this is the one for me. And it's a merino, 75% wool, 25% polyamide. It's 400 meters to 100 grams, so I would say it's a good 4-ply. So maybe these will become socks if my sock knitting adventure continues to be successful, and if not, probably some kind of hat. So I'm really pleased with that. And now we're back in Berlin. So this is my hotel room in Berlin. We're back in Berlin for 4 days before we return to the UK. And last night had a very nice time sat in the hotel bar knitting. And I have made progress on my sock, because in that yarn shop in Erlangen, she had a tiny needle. It wasn't Addy. I was looking for Addy because that's what all my other ones have been. But it was tiny Knit Pro circular. So I got one of those, and it meant that last night in the hotel bar, I did my heel. So this is my sock so far. It's looking, love it. And then look, like there's some kind of heelness going on there, some kind of heel flap thing. I don't know what I'm doing, because obviously I've not knitted one before, so I'm just religiously following Winnick Mum's instructions and hoping that as soon as she's an excellent sock knitter, this is all going to turn out really well. So knitted my heel flap, quite enjoyed doing that. Did the, I don't know what this is, heel bit, that was good. Picked up my bits off the side to join it all back together. And now I am knitting the gusset. That's what I'm doing. I've got about 10 more rows of that to do, and then I'll be back to knitting the foot. I had to improvise in the bar because I didn't have my stitch markers with me. They were in my room, but I did have the key to my interchangeable needles, so that's worked all right. It's a bit long, it kind of pokes in whilst you're going, but it does work. So that is my sock progress. And my Tolsta Tank, I knit on that on the train, and I've just got to measure to see, but I've knitted the front up, and I just need to check the depth from the armhole up to see where I'm up to there, but I didn't have my tape measure to hand, so, and I didn't think to measure that before I spoke to you, so I can't tell you. I'll look at that later. And so yeah, I haven't really had a vast amount of knitting time, to be honest, because we've either been doing stuff or I've been knackered. But the time that I've really been enjoying both of my projects. So that's my little update. Might get another one in before we leave. We've got 2 days left, including our flying day, but we don't fly till the evening, so we get most of that day. Yeah, anyway, see you soon and happy knitting. So I'm making the most of my sock knitting opportunities. We're on a boat just waiting to set off to go for a little hour boat trip around the centre of Berlin. We've seen a lot of the sites by foot. I thought it would be nice to see them from the water, do like a boat trip. And my sock progress is that I finished the gusset last night, and I've started on the rows that make up the foot bit. So I'll just see how much I get done in an hour, and then hopefully I might get the sock finished before we fly back tomorrow. Fingers crossed. I hope you enjoyed my vlog of my time in Germany and my exploits with my knitting and all the lovely towns and cities that we got to have a look at. It was a really fabulous holiday, just, yeah, much needed, and really was a good time. And I can't wait to go to Germany again, because I want to go back to some of the places that we visited, and then of course it's a massive country and there's whole new bits to discover, so I'm really looking forward to that. I just thought I'd finish off by showing you my sock progress. So I finished on the plane on the way home. I got all the way into the toe decreases, and basically I got as far as I could without having to swap to DPNs, which I know now that I'm going to have to do the final final decreases, because the circumference is now too small for the circulars and for the grafting. So I'm excited to do that. And then I have a wearable sock, I think. I tried it on really briefly, sat at an outdoor cafe outside Berlin Cathedral on the riverbank, and I thought, oh, no one can really see me, but I forgot about all the cruise boats that were coming past as I got my sandals off under the table and was like trying my sock on to see if it was the right place to start the decreases for the toes. So I think that's good. And so then on the plane, I had to stop knitting on that, but there was no way that I was stopping knitting, because I really found that knitting helped me massively. Knitting and loud music helped me massively on the plane. I did better than I've done on a plane for a long time. To put it in context, up till last year, I hadn't flown since 2012, because my flights in 2012 I was so terrible, and I was on tranquilizers and I was still terrible. Yeah, just so anxious and so upset. I just cried the whole way and the whole way back and refused to get on the plane. It wasn't great. So last year I flew for the first time since 2012, and it wasn't great, but I had done some work on coping strategies and I did a lot better. And then this time, using those strategies and my knitting and the music, I did much, much better. So I'm quite excited about that, because it opens up some doors to going away again and not having to leave kind of 10 years in between trips. So that's great. So then on the plane, on the return journey, after I'd finished my sock decreases to the point that I cast on my new sock. And I probably got to about here. I showed that in the video. I'll just show you these lovely colours again. But although I promised myself that I was going to go back to my other projects as soon as I got home, I haven't. And I've been knitting my sock. And I'm just working up. I think I've got maybe 12 more rounds to do. And then I'm on the toe decreases again. So very soon I will have 2 socks, a lovely pair, and I am very excited about them. So that's my holiday knitting. I hope you enjoyed the vlog. I hope you enjoyed following along, and I'll be back with a proper, as in a traditional podcast soon. Thank you. Bye.